Victor Wembanyama just left $50 million on the table, and the San Antonio Spurs may have just received the biggest championship gift in NBA history. The future face of the league had every reason to demand the richest deal possible, but instead, Wemby chose loyalty over luxury, betting hundreds of millions of dollars on one question: can the Spurs build a dynasty around him before it's too late?
As a player going into his fourth season, Victor was eligible for 25%, the lowest tier. However, if he had one MVP, one Defensive Player of the Year, or made All-NBA, he would have been eligible for 30%. That's another $50 million or so on his contract. However, in order to be eligible for any of those things, he would have had to have played 65 games or qualified for that 65-game rule. We have seen players in the past, most notably Tyrese Halliburton in 2024, sort of rush back from injuries, play banged up, in order to secure that eligibility and get that extra money. Now the Spurs don't have to worry about that because Victor Wembanyama is not putting those escalators in his contract. He is just going to make 25% of the cap in the first year of this new deal. Either way, over the life of this deal, that's around a $50 million discount on what he could have made. We assume that Victor would have won Defensive Player of the Year. He obviously did last year, made All-NBA, again, obviously did last year, and maybe won MVP because he's probably the best player in the NBA. But doing so would have required meeting that 65-game threshold. Now the Spurs don't have to worry about that. They know what Victor is going to make for the foreseeable future.
Sam, what does this mean for the Spurs money-wise with him taking the little bit of a discount here?
Well, it's absolutely substantial, right? How much have we talked about that max contract that De'Aaron Fox is about to start? 4 years, $221 million. The more the Spurs got deeper into that contract as their other young guys started to make market value, the more onerous that contract was going to be. Now, the way you look at this, the Spurs are going to be able to delay their luxury tax clock an extra year. They probably aren't going to be in the tax until the 2028-29 season. But look at this over time. Victor is getting this contract now. A year from now, Stephon Castle is going to get his version of it. I would presume it's at or around that 25% max as well. A year after that, Dylan Harper is going to get his max. He's probably going to be something like 25% as well, at least based on what we've seen out of him as a rookie. So the Spurs are going to get substantially more expensive with each passing year. Victor taking this discount makes it a lot more easy for them to navigate the tax, navigate the aprons, and potentially keep De'Aaron Fox without being forced to make a bad trade, attach assets to get off of that contract.
Sam Quinn making sense of the dollars and cents for us here on CBS Sports HQ. Sam, thank you. Victor Wembanyama, 5-year, $252 million max rookie extension. Includes a player option for the 5th season. Victor Wembanyama, first player to average at least 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks per game since Shaq in the 1999-2000 season. And he's the only player in NBA history with 100-plus three-pointers and 175-plus blocks in 3 straight seasons. He is here to stay in San Antonio.
Yeah, I get it. So I'm with you on that. Anybody who wants to take more money, I get it. I'm not mad. Me or you would want to take more money. Here's the difference. Here's where I disagree or push back, Rob. The challenge is you brought up the owners. The owners don't have a cap. Unfortunately, in the NBA, not MLB, they have caps. So that means, hey, Wemby, I wish I could pay you the $120 a year you're worth. LeBron, Steph, these guys would have been worth crazy money every year, but there's a cap. So I can only pay you, in this case, $302, but you wanted the $252. Because in order for me to sign Castle, and then Dylan Harper, who's behind him, and all of that, I'm going to need money because we have a cap. So I get your point, but the owners, there is no cap, so they can make as much as they want. And here's the difference, Rob. The challenge with a guy like Wemby and some other players that you named and other players in general is because they want to win because their legacy is not going to be based on how much money they accumulated. They're not going to go, man, Wemby's the GOAT. Why? Because he got $550 million in his career. No, they're going to say he's a GOAT because he got 4, 5, 6, 7 rings, whatever it is. He was able to win a bunch. And that's the key part. So if you look at Wemby, let me say, hold on. All I'm saying is, if Wemby looks at this as, well, okay, if I can save some money here and then he saves some money here, maybe it's Castle up in a year or two, whatever, and we keep this thing together for 4 or 5 years, we can win a few. And Wemby is maniacal about winning. The boy was crying when he lost to 19 and under to Chet. The boy cried when France lost to the United States in the Olympics. The boy cried when he won the Western Conference Final. He cried when he lost daggone All-Star game. He cares. He's Defensive Player of the Year. He plays both sides of the ball. He wants to win. It matters to him. And he wants to have an insane legacy with a war trove, a chest of a million different accolades and awards. And if he knows, and he knows that.
Your argument holds no water, because saving the organization money doesn't mean that you're going to win if you misspend it, or if you have a bad general manager, or if
I'm
you
not
spend.
disagreeing with
all
that.
right, so there's no guarantee, even if he gives you a discount, that you're going to win. You're automatically thinking they misspent money when they gave De'Aaron Fox a new deal. That's where the problem came in. So you can misspend the money, or
I'm not
just
disagreeing. I'm not saying, and what I'm saying
he
is
made a
Wemby,
mistake. It's stupid.
Wemby absolutely is trying to win as many finals as possible, because he knows his legacy ain't going to be based on, well, he could have got an extra $80 million throughout his total
It ain't
career.
about that. He still could not win. He could take a cut and never win, and then what would your conversation be? What would your conversation be if he doesn't win and he takes cuts? What would it be?
That he gave it a try to keep his team together.
No, it didn't
matter. I made my point very clear.
Matter.
He is trying to keep his squad together.
Fox. No, he's not.
I don't even.
It's
absolutely.
dumb. It's dumb.
So he's not taking money.
It's
just
dumb.
He's trying
it's
to
the
keep.
dumbest
he's
thing
trying
ever.
to pay Castle.
He don't need to do that. Let them figure it out. Let the general manager and the owner figure it out. That's their job. That's not your job.
In a cap league, I don't want to.
I don't want to hear about that.
I don't want to. It's the truth.
Victor Wembanyama just made a decision that shocked the NBA. The future face of basketball had a chance to chase the richest possible contract, but instead, he left around $50 million on the table. The San Antonio Spurs and Wemby agreed to a 5-year, $252 million rookie extension, locking down the most important player in their franchise future. But this was not just a contract decision. This was a statement. Wembanyama could have pushed for every dollar available. He could have reached the higher salary tier and potentially earned another $50 million if he won MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, or made All-NBA again. But there was one problem. He needed to play at least 65 games to qualify. And we have already seen players push through injuries just to protect those extra millions. Wemby chose a different path. He removed the pressure. He chose stability. And most importantly, he chose the chance to build something bigger than money. But the reason this decision matters goes far beyond Wemby's bank account. It could completely change how the Spurs build their next championship team. For San Antonio, this decision could be worth much more than $50 million. Because in today's NBA, managing money is almost as important as finding talent. The Spurs are not just building around Victor Wembanyama. They are preparing for a future where their young core becomes extremely expensive. De'Aaron Fox is entering a massive 4-year, $221 million contract. Soon, Stephon Castle could receive his own major extension. Then Dylan Harper could be next. Without financial flexibility, teams get trapped. They lose depth. They make desperate trades. They sacrifice future assets just to escape bad contracts. But Wembanyama's discount gives San Antonio breathing room. It could delay their luxury tax problems until around the 2028-29 season and allow them to keep building around their superstar. But there is one major question. Does saving money actually guarantee championships? Because while some believe Wemby just gave the Spurs the ultimate gift, others believe a superstar should never have to sacrifice money for an organization. The debate is already dividing the NBA. One side says, Victor Wembanyama deserves every dollar. And they are right. Players create billions for franchises. Superstars like LeBron James and Stephen Curry would have been worth unbelievable amounts without salary restrictions. But Wembanyama sees the game differently. Because history does not remember the richest players. It remembers the greatest winners. Nobody will call Wemby one of the greatest ever because he earned an extra $50 million. They will remember him for championships, awards, and the impact he leaves on basketball. That mindset has always been clear. Wembanyama was devastated after losing with France. He cried after falling short in the Olympic final. He celebrates victories because winning is not just important to him, it is everything. He wants a legacy, not just a contract. But there is a dangerous side to this decision. Because even the biggest sacrifice cannot guarantee success. The biggest risk is simple. A discount does not create championships. If the Spurs make bad decisions, if they waste their cap space, if they fail to build the right roster, then Wembanyama's sacrifice means nothing. A superstar's job is to dominate on the court. Building the team is the responsibility of the front office. But now San Antonio has something every NBA team dreams about. A generational player. A superstar willing to sacrifice. A player already making history. Wembanyama became the first player since Shaquille O'Neal in the 1999-2000 season to average at least 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks per game. He is also the only player in NBA history with 100-plus three-pointers and 175-plus blocks in 3 straight seasons. The talent is undeniable. The commitment is undeniable. Now the pressure is on San Antonio. Because years from now, nobody will ask if Victor Wembanyama made enough money. They will ask one thing. Did he build a dynasty in San Antonio?
Yo, mic check 1 to 2, -1, -2. Game over for this video, folks. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to stay in the huddle for more. This is NFL Madness, bringing the heat and signing out.